All right, casual video here tonight. We are doing One Piece hot takes, I guess. I don't actually know the definition of a hot take. I don't know if this is just unpopular opinions, things about the series with fandoms, opinions that I disagree with, or how something happened in the series and I wish it went differently. Little things, most of them very casual. This is a chill video. Please don't fight. There is also going to be spoilers, spoilers, up to and including egghead in the manga, not past the anime. Um, Description will say what chapters has the spoiler for. All right. So, none of these are in order for really anything except number one. Number one is a hill I will die on, and that is Nico Robin should have the second highest at the lowest bounty on the Straw Hat crew. I say this because bounties are not a ranking of power or strength or skill or anything like that. It is your threat against the world government. And Nico Robin, I refuse to call her demon child. She's an angel who has done nothing wrong in her entire life, who can read the poneglyphs, who can learn about, who wants to know the history of the world, wants to learn about the Void Century for no other reason than to understand and know that history, who witnessed a Buster Call, seen the government at their worst, see them terrorize innocent people, but mostly the reading of the poneglyphs. One of the few, very few people in this world who can do this, who's left able to translate and read them. Yeah, no, that is a threat to the world government and everything they are trying to hide. Nika is the only one who should be ahead of them. So, no, Robin, second highest bounty on the crew. I cannot think of any logical reason why anyone is above her other than Luffy, because obviously, as far as the world is concerned, took down Kaido, the emperor there, and the government knows that they have Nika's devil fruit. So yes, Luffy obviously can have a higher bounty, bigger threat to the world government compared to Robin. But Zoro, he's Luffy's right-hand man. He's definitely, in terms of strength, incredible and above Robin in terms of strength. We are not getting into any type of power rankings. I don't care about skills and fights and powers. And yeah, he took down a lot of incredibly strong people, but in terms of threats to the world government, I don't see it. I don't see how he's a bigger threat than Robin. The same thing with Jinbei and Sanji. Feel free to tell me if you disagree, but be able to translate the poneglyphs, she should be second highest threat. This is the one that got me in trouble during my chapter reviews, and I guess technically my opinion can change upon reread, which I eventually will do, but that is going to be Wano is just an average run-of-the-mill arc of One Piece. It is not fantastic. It is not the weakest. It had a lot of high highs, but it had a lot of low, not even low lows, but disappointments. I strongly feel that Oda, who love his story, obviously, he may tell it however he wants, but he was trying to do a lot of things and just did not have the time to flesh them all out. In terms of character development with Zoro, not really. In terms of character development with Chopper and the Cherry Blossoms, I don't even think it was mentioned. We introduced all these new characters, but we didn't get the emotional time with them to make me care as much as I could. And there were a lot of themes that were going on in Wano and a lot of things that were being set up. And I think my main issue is we had heard about Wano, little whispers of it all the way back in Thriller Bark. And slowly we keep hearing about it, little tiny nods to it. Then we introduced the samurai and they're traveling with us at different steps of the journey in different arcs, and everything is building up to Wano, and I don't think it lived up to what the story had set up. I do not hate or dislike Wano in any way. It is good, but it is average, and I was expecting fantastic, amazing. All right, late night editing Jessica popping in, because screw it. If I'm going to dig a hole for myself, I might as well make it deep. I'll continue talking about Wano because while I say it's average, it's on the lower side of average. I lean more negative than positive. I really only started enjoying myself when we got to the roof, which in itself I think is an unpopular opinion. But anyway, things I really hated specifically, when Luffy went to prison. Stupid, because like this was meant to break his spirit and crush him. It was basically a vacation and training montage for him, as he got unlimited food so long as he worked, and he's a Luffy, so he's super strong, and he just competed with Kid the entire time. So you gave him a lot of food. You also gave him a mentor to make him stronger. Instead of trying to break his soul, you could have left him in suspense, wondering if his crewmates were alive. Did he get them killed by getting targeted by Kaido? Now in this prison, he could have been being tortured. You're trying to break his soul. You failed at it. You gave him a vacation. Oden flashback. Manga. I'm specifically speaking of the manga in this because it was very rushed. The anime did it better. But I do not like that we focus so much on Oden, who is a character who is dead in the present timeline and did not develop the red scabbards at all. All the samurai in Wano were a complete letdown to me because I knew nothing about them. They were more or less interchangeable. I barely cared which one was the traitor. Though it was a decent reveal, but I barely cared because I didn't care about Kanjuro any more or less than I did any of the other samurai. They all meant this exact same to me because I didn't know them. We didn't develop them in the flashbacks. I would prefer flashbacks to develop the characters that we're following in the present rather than the past. Though the choice was made, obviously, to develop the world and the history and everything there, rather than the present day story. But I'm more of a driving character narrative preference versus a world building lore focus. That is a me issue, but I would prefer to focus on the samurai more than Oden. Carrot was basically useless. All she had was wanting revenge for Pedro. She barely even had that acknowledged in her fight, and someone else, I'm pretty sure, took down the other characters, and it was the other Sulong minks that really impacted the fighting. Carrot was basically useless in Wano for me. Off-screen deaths. Are you kidding me? Kazizu, the Whitebeard pirate commander. You do their death off-screen to the point that I don't even know they're dead until we're at their grave. Dishonor. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow, everything. How dare you give that death to me off-screen? I loved Hiyori and Orochi Bastard's interactions when Orochi Bastard was dying. That's probably one of my favorite moments in Wano, and I hear some people saying it went on too long in the anime. But again, I barely watch the anime, only certain clips, because I'm more manga preference. But loved everything with her being there to watch him die. She deserved to see him burn. And then there's Yamato. Love them so very much. It's generally what I might be scared to say, because it was a good thing that they did not join the Straw Hats. I love them. I want them on the crew with all my heart and soul, but character-wise, I appreciate the fact that they chose to stay with their home and protect it from the threats that will no doubt be coming versus following their own dreams, passions, and following in Odin's footsteps to adventure and see the world and sail to the end of the world with the Pirate King. Like, if they really wanted to be Odin and follow on their path, then they would have left with Luffy. But they didn't. They chose responsibility and loyalty to their home and their people, and that was the choice that should be made, to break off and be their own person. I adore Yamato. He is one of my favorite characters, but the choice to stay on Wano was a good decision. I mentioned before that I don't really care for fights, power scaling, anything like that. Not interested. So none of that's going to be on the list. However, my toxic trait is going to be that I think Prime Whitebeard is the strongest character in the show and could take anyone out. So if it's literally anyone versus Prime Whitebeard, I'll say Prime Whitebeard wins. Am I probably wrong? Yeah, chances are, but I'm kind of obsessed, so that's just on me. The villains of One Piece, who the majority of them I love, and the arcs themselves are great. Doflamingo is probably one of the greatest villains in all of fiction, and I love each villain for the arc that they're in. They're the perfect villain for that arc, which we'll get into more later in a different opinion. Doflamingo, the ultimate puppet master, Blackbeard with his schemes and chaos and manipulation and the mystery around him. Orochi Bastard, I hate this man, but I understand him, and I wanted more. I wanted to see the consequences, the fallout from what he did, but the reasons he did it. And how his family was prosecuted and that led him to become a villain. I'm really surprised that wasn't explored more in Wano, that they created their own worst villain. Broke Works, I loved them in Dressrosa. They all had this immense presentation. And Crocodile, obviously, like all the individual villains are fantastic. Buggy, like these presentation style of them are just great. But the main big bad of the one with the pointy hat, Emu, however we're saying his name, or their name, we don't even know who they are yet, and the Gorosei, pre-Egghead, my opinion was they are not that intimidating. It's a big brother feel. They've taken over the world. They have lots of power, but they themselves are not interesting. We knew nothing about them. They're just this looming force with stuff commanding. They're not all that cool design looking wise to look at. So I'm like, basically I'm just saying, like, when you compare them to the Gorosei to like the Akatsuki, there is no comparison. Akatsuki are like the greatest villain organization I've ever come across in anime in terms of just pure style and intimidation and how they look in general, plus in terms of intimidation and power within their world. Like, they're all incredibly strong, and I love all of them in different ways and fights, not Zetsu. Besides the point. Same thing. Like, I haven't even watched Bleach yet. I will eventually. But like the Soul Society and the organizations within there, they just look really cool. And just from a couple clips on TikTok and here on YouTube a little bit, I feel like they're going to be great in terms of fight and actually powerful. Like, I see their feats. Whereas, oh, and same thing like Hunter x Hunter, the Phantom Troop. I love that organization. But with the Gorosei, looming presence, but they're just sitting back. You're not intimidating yet. You're not developing them as villains. They're just big brother, overlord, lots of power, setting things in motion, which is its own kind of intimidation, but not the kind I like. You're threatening. You have lots of power, but okay, we're just going to quote Megamind because it's the only way that to describe this. There's a difference between a villain and a supervillain, and that's presentation. They don't have the presentation to make me fear them. Then Egghead happened, and I retract this unpopular opinion hot take. So, moving on. The disrespect I see around Big Mom hurts my soul when I see people like ranking the Yonkos or talking about them or who is their favorite. Obviously, Whitebeard. Whitebeard is my favorite. And if we exclude Luffy from the list, Big Mom's my number 2. Again, not counting Luffy. He's the main character of the show. He shouldn't really count for that. He does. So if we're counting him, Big Mom's my number 3. But I love Big Mom. I love her as a character. I love how she never learned to regulate her emotions. I love how she is with her family, the politics involved, the manipulation. She wants this unity, but then is terrible. Like, I adore Big Mom. I love the hunger pains. I love her backstory. She is, with the exception of Whitebeard and Luffy, my favorite of the Yonko. I like her more than Shanks. I like her more than Buggy. I like her more than lot more than Kaido. I don't understand the hatred, not even hatred, dislike, disrespect I see towards Big Mom. She is one of my favorite characters, and another reason that my dislike of Wano came about was partly because it's left ambiguous. I choose to believe ambiguous, because if she's actually dead, her story does not end in a satisfying way to me, because we know everything that happened with her, the truth of her backstory, but she does not, and I want to see her realize the truth, realize her history. She has the ability to learn and grow from that, but maybe she can't make amends and it's too late and has to face the consequences of her actions. And to get that, hopefully on Elbaf. I don't feel like her story will be complete until she gets to Elbaf and faces the giants and learns what she did. Long Ring, Long Land. I love this arc so very much. I don't know if it was just the time I was reading it. I may have not have been in the greatest headspace, and I just needed to laugh. And I laughed like the entire way through. The joke about, oh, let me get you some milk. Oh, there's no milk here. I've been up on these stilts for however many years. I do have some cheese, though. that had me rolling on the floor crying with laughter. This Long Ring Long Land is everything I love about One Piece. The absurdity, the love and friendship, the Davy Jones, Davy back fights. Mostly because Davy Jones makes me think of Davy Jones Jalaka, which takes me to the underworld. The possibility of conspiracy theories and tinfoil hats. Like, I want us to get to the underworld. That's fine. So bringing up Davy Jones in the Davy back fights, that was like beautiful for me. Like, I nourished my soul. But then I'll hear theories about this might be the ultimate place of freedom where Nika originally appeared. There's a lot of weird tinfoil hat theories about the One Piece being in the center of it. And then you have how it relates to the rest of the series with the Aqua Laguna and Water 7 and everything pulling the water out, and that's when the islands are revealed. So you have the world building, you have tinfoil hat theories, you have humor, you have the ridiculous concept. It is everything I love about One Piece boiled down into one arc. And I adore it. It must be the anime, because the anime dragged out the individual fights and part of the game. So, like, I can't believe they did that, because in the manga, it is such fast pace. It is so funny, and I love it. I love Long Ring Long Lands. I will not apologize for that, and I don't understand why more people don't love it. I'm not sure how people feel about this one, but it does annoy me when I hear people say that One Piece has, like, only, 9% filler? Like, a really low amount of filler? First of all, I don't care about filler. Filler is fine for me when it's its own episode. Give me more time with the characters. I don't need it to move the plot along. Just an interaction with these characters. Cool. Sounds like fun. I like the world. I like the characters. I have nothing against couple episodes, a small arc that just lets me enjoy my time with these characters more. One Piece anime is too much filler for me. It's just they make it be filler in terms of pacing with flashbacks, recaps, expressions. So they're expanding the amount of material they can get from one chapter, filling it out to make an episode. And I get why they're doing it. You need to when you're running this long, you can't catch up with the manga. I understand. It makes sense that this is the choice that they made. But to say that One Piece does not have a ridiculous amount of filler does not make sense to me. But it's just filler in the form of pacing. And that's not something I want to differentiate between. And it makes it that I can't watch the anime. I just can't do it. I'm like fast forwarding every like 5 seconds. I'm like, go faster. I need skip. Okay, next scene. Cool. And like each episode only moves it along like 6 minutes of plot going on. That might be exaggerating. But I don't know. It slightly bothers me when to say that the anime has very little filler as a compliment when it doesn't feel true. It's filler I can't skip. Fishman Island. First of all, adore this entire arc. Literally everything about it. I cried my heart out. Possibly because I still have PTSD after Marineford incident. So when Luffy was calling Princess Shirahoshi crybaby, broke my heart. And then with the octopus kraken guys, like, oh, you're doing this because if not, they'll go after your brother. Is it your big brother or your little brother? How about you let me trust me and let me protect them too? I was ugly crying in the middle of a train station when I read that section of the arc. So Fishman Island has also traumatized me. It just might be more trauma because of previous arcs. I love it. The fact that I see anyone say anything bad about this arc actually hurts my soul, but that is not what I want to talk about. And that is the fact that Hody? No, I call him Howdy a lot. It's Hody Jones as a villain in general. I've already said I love all the individual villains for the arc that they're in. Would it make any sense for him to be in Fishman Island or Dressrosa or Wano, any other arc? No, but he's not. He is in the Fishman Island arc, and he is the perfect villain for this arc. He represents everything that the Queen was trying to prevent. He is just a normal person who has witnessed violence, heard stories, and through being constantly experiencing that hatred, even though humans had never done anything to him personally, seeing it and being exposed to it turned him into this villain who hated humanity and also led him to hate his own people and only care about himself and selfishness, the environment is what caused him to be the villain, which is everything that the queen didn't want. She's like, no, you can't shoot this celestial dragon. I won't let the children see this man be harmed and killed. I won't let this hatred persist in my kingdom. She's trying to prevent it and failed, and that created Hody. I don't understand how people could say he's useless. I get compared, like, ranked and compared to everyone else. Sure, he's definitely not the most entertaining or powerful or anything like that, not charismatic, nothing like that. He's not the best villain, but he is the type of villain that we needed for this arc. Also, this is outside my hot takes, this is more just headcanon, but I absolutely refuse to believe that the world government is not responsible for giving the drugs to the Fishman that caused them to all go like crazy in the first place. I know it's just talked about as being in the vault and from a long time ago. Well, the world government a long time ago gave it to them because there's too many parallels between the FBI giving heroin to certain communities, and I refuse to believe that that's not a parallel to it. So, world government is responsible for the drugs in Fishman Island. I'm almost scared to say this one, but I'm going to say it because I believe it. And that is that Nami is the most loyal of the Straw Hats. I have had a conversation in the comments section at one point in time saying she probably has the most faith in Luffy, but yeah, Zoro is the most loyal. And I'm like, I understand where you're coming from. I see what you're saying. I agree Zoro's loyalty knows no bounds, but to me, everything about Nami, the core of who she is her faith in Luffy, and for that, she would never betray him. At the point we're at now, even in the past, but for sure now, everything about her character, her core self, revolves around her loyalty and her faith in Luffy. Witnessing him save her town, freeing her from Arlong, and then everything, taking care of him, navigating the Sunny and the Going Merry, all the way up to Wano, when she is willing to call out Kaido, calling him a stupid snake. How dare you lie? Luffy is not dead. She cannot believe it. She would rather die than say that he will never be king of the pirates. She will bet her life on that he is alive and will never say anything about his dream. Everything about Nami is her belief in Luffy, and I refuse to say that if you were to force me to rank who would be more likely to betray Luffy, Nami's at the bottom of that list. Luffy's probably at the top. Luffy would betray Luffy before any of the Straw Hats would betray Luffy, but that's not the point. I know, especially with the Nothing Happens scenes, that Zoro proved his loyalty. He would give his life. He would give his own dream, which is above even his life, to protect Luffy. But then so would Sanji. All of the Straw Hats would give their life for Luffy. So who you are at your core, to your faith and loyalty, I gotta give that bonus point to Nami. My opinion, I can see others disagreeing, but to me, Nami is the most loyal Straw Hat. Alright, this one is more just a little bit of my disappointment and thoughts in the series. I can waver in this one. And that is, I'm disappointed that the Gum Gum fruit does not exist. So obviously I'm fine with it actually being revealed to be the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. That is not my issue. My issue is not that Luffy doesn't have the Gum Gum fruit, or the Gum Gum fruit we were led to believe was something else, and it turns out that this is what it really is. I have no issue with that whatsoever. In fact, I love it. But when Vegapunk said that there's no record of the Gomu Gomu no Mi in the earliest, oldest devil fruit encyclopedias, implying that someone added it later as a way of disguising the Nika devil fruit, that kind of just didn't sit right with me, because I'd rather they just wipe Nika's devil fruit from the log, and just anyone who actually or accidentally consumed it in the future, they would assume it's a devil fruit that does actually exist, the Gum Gum fruit, Gomu Gomu no Mi, and it would just be as it is. They would think that they ate this one. hope, and you kind of just hope that no one eats them both at the same time or they never come in contact with each other. It just makes more sense for me, because otherwise, why didn't the government like go all out after Luffy the very first time that he demonstrated his powers? Because if they know that there is no gum fruit, and anyone that says they have it, anyone who thinks they have it, anyone who has these powers, the stretchy arms and all that, they actually have Nika's devil fruit. So the very first time that it was shown to the government and displayed and who attacked a government area, so the first time he busted out Zoro, and he got his bounty as well and stuff like that, there should have been a report that eventually some key word got triggered to go to the top of the government for them to be like, okay, let's take him out. I get the explanation that not that much time has passed. They hadn't had the opportunity, especially after his big call out for when the government started to pay attention to him was like in Ennis Lobby. And then this happened. There was no time for them to really act. I still say, just one report, person with stretchy powers, whatever type of devil fruit powers that made him stretchy, some key word should have signaled to the top of the government to be like, all right, let's go take him out. Send in an admiral, make an assassination mission. I get not wanting to make a big deal and call attention to it, and just banking on the fact that they would never awaken that devil fruit, but it makes more sense if they're just under the assumption that the gum fruit exists and that's the one he ate. And then if it turns out that it's looking like it might actually be Nika's, it's not acting the way that you would expect the gum fruit to activate, it's not acting like rubber, something is off, okay, now we'll start to intervene. And even then, chances are it'll never awaken. I don't know, part of it is also that I just want Luffy to fight someone with his own powers, so fight someone with the real gum fruit, and be like, God, you know my moves, or this is how you use it, oh, this is how I would do that. I just kind of want him to have a conversation with someone else who also has the gum fruit, which is basically the Katakuri fight. So there is always the possibility that I just want the Katakuri fight again. But I don't know. I'm mildly annoyed of all the variations and ranges in devil fruits that they're just like, yeah, no, there's no such thing as a gum fruit. No one actually wants it to be rubber, so that's just not one that exists. We made that one up to cover for the Nika fruit. I want a real gum fruit. All right, and finally, this one's crazy, but what if Usopp is Sniper King? I know, one's from Sniper Island, one's from Syrup Village, one's in the East Blue, the other's in your heart, but they both have the long nose, and I don't think it's the giraffe from Water 7. A fake Sniper King turns up at Sabadi, but like it's revealed to not be him. So it could be Usopp. I know he says he's a friend and he just came to help during the fight, but they look really similar. They both have slingshots. Maybe that's why Usopp went to the other one during the time skip instead of going to Sniper Island to train, because Sniper Island gotta exist. It's in your hearts. I know it's crazy, but maybe. All right, those are my random thoughts, disagreements, hot takes, whatever the hell we're calling it. Don't hate me. I love the series, okay? I really love the series. Talk to you later.